I have a question for you. I mean,
Okay.
basically, I'm going to ask you the same question, but you had a bit of a struggle writing our upcoming feature film.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you wanted to say, and you didn't really know what you wanted it to be about. And so it took you a little bit of time to figure that out. And once you did, now you're writing it,
Yeah, now
and
I'm
you
writing.
structured it.
Yeah, two
So
lines at a time. We're going.
I want to approach this question more from, speak into that situation and just tell me like what changed for you to give you direction for this project.
So whenever I'm writing, it has to compel me. Not that it really has to compel me. I write luxury automotive copy a lot of the time. That's that's my 9 to 5. So within that, there's very certain parameters you have to fill. So it's not necessarily the most thrilling of topics every now and then. But when it comes to my personal writing for artistic projects, I like ideas that compel me. I like the new. I like the interesting. For example, a script about like a werewolf. That's like
You mentioned this.
meeting the like his like
Go see episode 4.
Yeah, or script about a werewolf that her
Her
like,
father-in-law is a werewolf.
A werewolf. Like she's bringing her husband to meet her father, who's also a werewolf, and he's not a werewolf, and his brother secretly becoming a vampire. Like that's like a very interesting. Like there's a lot of interplay. I mean, not that surely it's been done before, but I haven't really done it. I haven't seen a lot of people saturate the werewolf father-in-law genre with it. I love that sort of idea. And often I'll have these projects cooking in my head for years. I have one project that's very ambitious that is probably after our feature is done. That's my next big script.
Okay.
That I've had that in my head since like 2021. And it's very ambitious and it'll maybe never get made.
Winky Starlight?
Winky Starlight.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Sneak peek for 5 years from now when that hits theater screens or whatever.
Yes.
But
well, who knows? I mean,
who knows?
go see our last episode about film festivals.
To that point, I'll have like these ideas, but often Zach will be like, hey, like I know we've been working on this one project. And I'm like, yeah, we've been working on this project. But he's like, really, can we do something else in the interim as we like wait for whatever? For example, we have a project on the back burner that involves a lot of miniatures, and that's really hard to do, and definitely a longer term project, and therefore we want something in the middle so we're not stagnating. But in that kind of interim, I make something for me, and that is where I hit kind of an issue because I've just been given a blank page, and I have to figure out something to put on the blank page, and it has to be interesting, it has to be compelling, it has to I have to know what I want to say. And often with these stories, for example, I just finished a script that is very much in the vein of like Doom demon killing.
Oh yeah.
And I had what I wanted to say with it. I was like, for basically 2 years, I was like, what do I really want to say with this as I'm plotting it? What do I want the meaning to be? Like, what is the purpose of this script? And like, I got that and put it together. But now it's like, hey, can we we're trying to do a feature this summer. Can we do this? It's like, I have a blank page in front of me. What do I even want to write about, much less what do I want to say with what I'm writing?
So you mentioned already that you latch onto ideas that are new and fresh.
Yeah.
But where do they come from in the first place?
The either. No, they just kind of, something will happen, right? I will think of a situation and I'm like, that's an interesting situation. For example, for Bleeding Heart Routine, I was like a detective. And it's like a story about love. Because, there's been all these movies that's like, this is not a love story. It's a story about love, which is definitely an interesting thing. But a lot of them are just kind of love stories. And I was like, let me do like a kind of love story, but it's like a story about love, but it's like about a detective. But like, there's no mystery that he's really solving. It's just about like the detective. And I did what was basically a character story of like a very lonely man, Wizard of Loneliness style. And that was just an interesting thing to me, was a detective who was like, oh, he's all beat up and he's all like so fatigued.
So what was new about this project that made you want to do it was just, it was new.
I was playing with genre conventions. That's what I was doing.
Which you can still do and it still be fresh, but you felt like there was freshness to bring to the table.
Yeah, there was freshness to bring to the table, so I wanted to choose that. That's not how I choose topics necessarily, but like that's a big motivator, is like, does it compel me? Is it like new? Because the hero's journey has been done so many times. If I'm not like developing myself artistically as I tell this story, like what am I doing?
Right.
Because there have been scripts that I've put together that I'm like, this means nothing to me. But that said, personally, when like I'm picking a topic, I am frankly less worried about stagnation and more worried about like, I need to put out something that is interesting and compelling, because otherwise, why would I watch this film? Why would I, read this?
So there are a lot of great films out there that are genre pieces that aren't necessarily doing anything new. Like, they're doing something new. Maybe the director has never done a project like this. Maybe the writer has never done a project like this. They're making a Western, for example, and it's very much in the vein of like Bleeding Heart Routine, where I don't want to say it's just a noir film, and I definitely think there are unique aspects to Bleeding Heart Routine, but it is a genre piece, and you're playing with these conventions. So it just has to be different for you. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, or I'm working within my own artistic canon, because every film that I write is the first film like that I've written, if I'm doing things right. But back to your question, I feel like I've got this like blank page in front of me, and sometimes I will have trouble just putting out something that means anything, that's like worth anything. And I just really have to find a story that's compelling. And there's compelling stories all over the place, but what is the twist?
What is the unique spin?
Yeah, like boy meets girl. What happens after that? What Quentin Tarantino did with Pulp Fiction was really like put it on its head. He like clearly loves the genre. He's not like, I'm gonna make a Western that's not a Western at all, because I actually hate Westerns and I think they're evil. He's like, I'm gonna make a Western that's the Hateful Eight, where I'm still playing with like the genre conventions. So I'm trying to put out something new, something compelling, and finding inspiration for that can be really hard.
So it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
It's new for you, but it's also like
it's new within the genre. I have
Gotcha.
to if 1,000 people have written about a superhero, which in today's current film climate they have written about a superhero. Like how do I put out something different that's worth watching, that's worth writing?
There has to be a twist.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
there has to be a twist, and that twist sometimes is like a by the numbers detective story, but I'm doing subtext work or character work or something that's different to my writing. But like it has to be new to me.
I have an answer to your question.
Okay, here we go.
At least if you frame it as what elements does your next project have to have? It has to be striking visually. If you just give me a by the numbers drama, it's like, okay, well, how can I make this interesting visually? And that's hard. And I gravitate towards projects where I feel like I can stretch creatively by making visually interesting things. And I feel like you've always, at least with films that we've collaborated on, there's always been that visually striking aspect to it. So that's what drives me to it. If I can picture the film in my head, then I'm all for it. And so like I'm excited about our feature film that we're doing this summer. I'm super excited about it because there's a way that I want to film it that I think is going to be really cool. Part of it's going to involve shooting in downtown Oklahoma City at 3 a.m. What's that going to look like? And I really like how it looks in my head. Because I like how it looks in my head, that's why I'm all down to film the project.
For you, it's, visually striking. So you're like, Fury Road, very simple plot. They drive one way and then they drive the other.
If I wasn't working with you, all of my films would be Fury Road. It's being a bit pretentious, but they would be in that vein.
For me, it has to be narratively striking. And sometimes finding that narratively striking thing is the tough part. Like, what is your next film about? Well, it's obviously it's about dreams, but thousands of people have done movies about dreams in different ways. And how is ours going to be different?